Howdy, Tom. I just got your package and I opened it up and I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing. There's a couple little things before you go any further that I'd like to point out about getting started in the project. It seems like you're jumping right into it, which is all cool. But let me show you a couple little things that you should do. First thing, is we need to make sure that our markers are installed properly. Because when you go to render it out at the end of your project to create a stereo release, it depends on where these start and end markers are. That's very important with Studio One, with what we do. So you open the project, insert your markers. We'll turn that inspector off. Okay, so we have our start and our end markers. Boom. Before we go putting plugins, now I do like that you have your input controls out and that you have your effects buses and your subgroups put beside it. Okay, let's color code. I always make my drums red. And color coding helps speed you up in the long run. It may take an extra second when you're starting. My base is always green. Let's keep our saxes the same color. Let's pick an orange. And I do always do my vocals blue, so that's cool. By the way, this is drummer's microphone. Drum vocal, I'm sorry. And how you did this is fine. Verb, however you like to do this. I like to make it this bright pink so I can. All my effects are always bright pink. All my subgroups are always black. It's just my groove. Front of house, let's make that the same color, even though we're not going to use it. So anyway, now you see that we have our different things color coded. This will help you down the road. That's the end of part one. Okay, lesson two. The order in which you do things is always, of course, up to you, how you attack different instruments, how you tune different things in a mix. I'm very much liking the way that you went in and chopped up the, the impulsing on this file. I do want you to notice you missed the cutting of this kick drum where the gains change. So I'm going to do that right now, and to do that, you get your you know how to do it. Obviously, you can use the 3 and the 1 button, and to go back and forth. So I'm going to cut that one. I'm going to cut that one real quick because this is going to affect your mix in a big way. So I want this to be basically as big as this one, and I want the waveforms, when I say as big as, you'll notice the waveform peaking here versus the waveform peaking there. And this is fucking crazy over here in this snare mix. I don't think we're gonna, I mean, this mix is obviously out. This is just for lessons. However, that's just crazy. So, so we've chopped our gains. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to point out in this is in the very beginning of Front of House is where the MC, introduces her.
Now, what we want to bring to the stage, you guys put your hands together for the neo sounds of Shawan Rice.
So we do want to cut this little tiny.
Stage, you guys put your hands together for the
Let me turn that up so you can hear it.
Shawan Rice.
So that's all I want from here. I'm going to keep a little extra section. And W. And we'll get rid of that to the very end because he also says, thank you very much for playing today and that kind of thing.
All right, Congo. Big hand for Shawan Rice.
So we want that in our tape. That's important to get. I'm going to get rid of the other front of house track. Shift T gets rid of a track, by the way. All right. So now we have the MC talking in here, and let's pan him to the center, obviously. Great. That is part 2. So I'm chopping these videos up just to make it easier for you to watch. Part 3. Back to order of mixing. I start on drums. Most people start on drums because there's the most microphones. There's the most to do. So with that said, let's look at what you have on your kick drum right now, because it looks like you started on your kick and you're coming across. And that's how I do it exactly. Start on your kick, go to your snare, tune your toms, blah, 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 blah. So let us solo up this. And I want to look at your EQ. And if you hit this little thumbtack, it keeps the plugin up and open rather than by default it closes it and opens the one you've selected next. So we have our comp, or our EQ and our comp. Now let's just set up a loop to make our lives easy. All right, let's turn the compressor off first. I'm going to bring this up to Unity. Okay, what do you hear? It's a rather flat, boxy sounding, crappy mic placement. So, first things first, we're going to turn off that low cut. I'm going to take the lowest frequency and I'm going to jack the piss out of that. And now I'm going to bring the second band down. Now we have some boom boom. Now we have some low end in there. We don't care about mid-range. That's where guitars live. That's where vocals live. I want this first, so. There's a lot of click in this. I would bet it's a D6 or a Beta 58. But we don't have to don't low pass this. Leave that open to breathe. And then the attack of a kick drum is generally around 6.5 to 7K. Hear that? It sounds like a plastic beater. All right, let's turn on the compression. Now we're cutting our heads off pretty nicely. I like that. Let's take that back just a little bit further. And this is called a soft knee. This is called a hard knee. Notice the angle of the knee. So I like where your attack is starting. Let's move that back a little bit. Let's make that threshold. Now let's gain that makeup back. It's a little much. Groovy. Now I do see you put your sub thingy in, your parallel compression in here, and that it's off. Great. All right, so our kick in is designed to get the beater in the inside of the drum. The kick out is where our low thump usually comes from. So let's go to that EQ. You had the exact same EQ settings on that drum as you did on the inside drum, and that's a giveaway that something's wrong. So on this one, I like that frequency. Let's cut this again. Now, we bring in the in and the out. Now, we have high end kick in, we have boom boom kick out. Now let's compress that. And I'm going to compress that at 20 to 1 for the lesson. And there is a kick drum. Now, if we add in, on this parallel compression, you want to add a wide with a cut. And we want a low cut 24 dB at 20 hertz. Down below 30. And I'm going to compress. EQ, now compress. Ooh, I like it. You set it up to limited already. Real quick release. Now when I bring that up, you get that big rock and roll hit, baby. All right, that's the kick drum lesson. Great job, Tom. Thank you. All right, Tom. Here we go. Into your snare. So we're gonna. You have your bottom snare inverted, which I love. Let's open up this EQ, and at the same time, let's pin that. Now let's add a compressor. It's almost always going to be EQ compression, EQ compression. So to start with, let's listen to the snare soloed, snare top. It's okay to high pass that at let's go down to 100. All right, very little stick hit, so we're gonna add some crack. Let's compress that at 4 to 1. Cool. Now let's listen to the bottom. Let's high pass that a little more because it's going to be closer to the kick drum. Now, what happens is there's some meat up. That I do like in the bottom. Very jazzy, a little more rock on top. Now let's look at that compressor. Open that knee a little bit. I'm going to open the attack just a hair and a quicker release. Threshold to where it's working. We can low cut here. Go to like 80, 100, somewhere in there. And there's your snare drum. The EQs are not going to be the same, buddy. We want different sounds out of each different microphone. Again, top. We could maybe cut a little of that mid. Maybe add a little. All right, man. Great job, buddy. All right. Let's get into tom tuning. The first thing we want to do is get big, obvious waveforms where they hit all the toms to make our lives easier. You'll notice here we have the guy was doing a fill. So we highlight that, we solo our toms. I like it. Alright, so that's step one. Now, as I did in the other video, I'm just going to do one tom, and we're going to do that tom 2. So I see you have these EQs. Again, there's no way in hell any EQs should be identical. If it was just a way to insert and start, that's cool. I get it. Anyway, so we're going to listen to tom 2. Which is that little section, so just to speed things up. Alright. We're going to high pass out mud. On your floor tom, you may not want to use the high pass so that you get bass. But, so, what's our resonant frequency? Is there one? Real tight Q, boost it up all the way. Really not bad. Let's turn that gain up a little bit. It's a well-tuned drum kit. Alright, so now we're going to tune it to taste. Stick hit. Whoops. I'm an idiot. We're on the wrong drum EQ. Ah. Let's boost a little. You hear that mid-range makes a huge difference in how a drum sounds. Now let's get some stick into there. That may be a little much, but that's for you to notice. We're gonna bring this bitch down 4-to-1. Could even harder knee. Now, if you don't like using gates, that's fine. If you're gonna use a gate, put it in after the gain, of course. Real quick attack. Hold for the sound of the drum and release the tail to make it sound natural. This guy really didn't need it. I'm only doing it for a lesson.
Rebuke your knees. Rebuke your knees. Rebuke your knees.
And you're going to go ahead and do that same thing to every drum. Now let's go down to just that floor tom so you can hear what I mean in the EQ. He really only hits this floor tom right here. So we're going to gain the piss out of that. Take your low cut off because at most you want that like at 50 hertz. Now let's Now, if you notice, there is right at 98 hertz, not real happy. Might sound a little funky right now, but when you put that into the mix, you're going to hear it better. everybody. All right, so we have the kick, we have the snare, and we have the toms tuned. So what's left? Overheads. So I've zoomed back out and I've set up a loop. So what do you notice first in the overheads? Well, first of all, the right side gain is definitely higher than the left side. So we'll need to adjust up on our left side with gain and down a hair with our right side with gain if you want, or you can just move your faders. That's up to you. Now, what I typically do with overheads are completely unpredictable because of some guys place overhead microphones way over the drummer, some put them close. In this case, these are further away from the kit than maybe I would have liked on a live stage. But what we want to do is put an EQ on it. We're going to high pass it. Now, I take all the stage rumble out with my overhead, so I high pass it rather high, 250, 300. And the reason I do this is because there's a lot of just stage rumble that we don't want. We don't really want our drums in there. So I'm going to clone that. Oop, undo that. I'm going to clone that one so both sides have the same high pass. I'm now going to cut down a little of the super high crisp and a little of that 600 that's in every microphone. And the reason I cut that mid is because it's going to sum from all the other microphones. I would put a light compression, a 2.5, with a little bit quicker attack, and again, a quick release. We can filter out up to 200 if we feel like it. Easily. I'm going to copy that over. It should have lit up when you just saw that crash. And you do this to stop those crashes and stuff from cracking through the mix. What you should notice right now is the where's that coming from? Hi-hat will take that up. No high cut on the hi-hat. I believe that's it is in that floor tom because we didn't gate it.
Ricio on the trumpet.
So after you tune these toms, here's your drum kit, man. Now I'm going to turn this overhead right down a little bit and watch your metering on your kick bus, that it's even. You'll notice it's still right side dominant a little bit. I'm going to put the hat over to the right a little bit. I'm going to push the snare bottom to the left a little bit. There is a drum kit. You may want to compress that a little bit, but for right now we are not going to do that. Add the kick. And there you have a a complete drum setup, buddy. All right, have at it.